just a hack. It's just an absolute hack. And he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to another episode of Hack City. Joe DeLeone and Sean Anderson, two former college football players from the University of Rhode Island, bringing you yet another conference preview for the 2023 college football season. We've gotten through, I think, all of the G5 conferences, and today is going to be the last one that we have, which is the American Conference. It's a very different looking conference. We're going to get to all that today. Sean, how are you doing today besides the little tummy ache that you got?
You jinxed me. You jinxed me, bro. You jinxed me. And you're trying to make valid points, and they're not invalid points. But somehow, some way, you willed. I don't even know if it's a bug. It might be a bug. You willed it into existence for your pal. And I don't
It's not a bug. You overate at brunch, and now you're blaming it on me. You overate at brunch.
Your voodoo doll too much food that you've been doing, you've been poking me in the stomach, and then you drank too much last night.
You drank too much last night. You don't know that. And you ate too much at brunch.
You don't know I did that.
No, because it's okay. It's so easy to pinpoint being sick after you were out, and then you go and have brunch.
It doesn't happen to me. This doesn't happen to me.
Well, it happens to me, and I'm telling you right now, what happened was
different.
You drank too much, and then the next morning you ate too much at brunch.
I would disagree with the first statement of drinking too much. It was a nice calm evening. Capped off with some Jeopardy played at 3 a.m.
You just drank in general, and that probably already maybe did some things to your stomach that you didn't notice, and then you ate too much at brunch. Plain and simple. It happens to the best of us. Just admit that this was your own doing.
You willed it into existence because you had a stomach bug after I left California, and now Sean had to get one with your cursing and magical acts. And you got to admit that you were hoping. I think you were hoping that when you had your stomach pains, I believe you were hoping that my stomach was hurting.
I think about you a lot less than you think I do. Let's just put it that way.
No, I know for certain that you were hoping that I was down bad like you were down bad. And now, congratulations, I am. Congratulations, Joe.
Because I'm not sadistic like you, and I wouldn't wish...
You are sadistic.
I wouldn't wish upon anyone what I went through last week.
What
I went through was horrible. Absolutely horrible. You have a little bit of a tummy ache because you ate too much food. Now, if it gets as bad as what I was dealing with, then I will rescind that statement.
You would wish that on a person that cuts you off in traffic. And I've heard you say that.
Whatever. All right, today, Sean, we got a lot that we got to get into. We're all wishing you a speedy recovery.
No, you're not. That's thinly veiled. That's thinly veiled.
Everybody, please DM Sean at Sanderson Radio to wish him a speedy recovery. Also, please everyone make sure, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you have not done so already. And then also, because today is the American Conference, we're going to get into previewing the top teams this upcoming season. I want everyone to go in the comments, drop who you think is going to win the American this upcoming year. Let us know in the comments, and then maybe any other thoughts on the conference.
Let me know who you think is going to finish 6th also. That's what I would like to do.
Sure.
I don't care who wins. Who's finishing in 6th? Oh, okay. That's not bad.
JT Daniels led Rice team. Before we continue on with this video, I just want to tell you folks about an exciting new partnership that we have with this channel with Underdog Fantasy. Ever since I joined, I've been having so much fun. There are so many different exciting games that make watching games during the offseason more exciting. I'm not the biggest basketball fan, but it has made it way more entertaining since I found Underdog Fantasy. And my favorite game to play so far, which I think you should try out, is Pick'em. It is so easy to play. Just pick higher or lower on your favorite player's stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Underdog keeps it simple. With their easy-to-use website and mobile apps, pick between 2 and 5 players to fill out your pick'em slip, get every pick right, and take home some cold, hard cash. Use code HACK, H-A-C-K, HACK, like the name of this channel. Use code HACK to get your first deposit doubled up to $100 by Underdog. Go sign up. You won't regret it. You're going to have a blast. Check out Underdog Fantasy. I also want to tell you folks about our other recurring sponsor that we have on this channel, that being BetOnline, betonline.ag, which has all the updated odds, news, and anything for sports betting. It's my go-to source for when I want to be betting specifically on games. I love betting on college basketball or the NBA, especially, again, during the offseason. Always looking for more fun ways to be focused in on some of these other sports. It's betonline.ag and use promo code BELIEVE50. It's promo code BELIEVE50 to get 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Speaking of Rice, though, Sean.
Oh, sure. Oh,
this year is a completely new look conference, as I said. It is completely different. Now, we admittedly, when we started doing, was it the Conference USA preview? We accidentally forgot that some of the teams were no longer in the conference. We had to go back and redo some things. We're caught up right now, though. We know where everybody is, and we have our information correct. For those that were living under a rock, like we were a couple of weeks ago, we now have in this conference joining Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, North Texas, Rice, and UTSA. This is a big conference now. They are losing, however, three of their top teams. That being Cincinnati, which made the college football playoff a couple of years ago. That being Houston, which has always historically been a quality football program. And then, of course, UCF, who is the People's National Championship from a few seasons ago. This whole conference is turned upside down and on its head. They're not losing their best team, which we're going to get to in a second. But I'm really curious to see that. I know some people want to act like there's not good competition in this conference. I'm really curious to see how this year plays out because I think a lot of these teams, we've got a lot of quality football programs that are going to give us some pretty good games this upcoming year.
Yeah, I know it's football based, but if Florida Atlantic had not gone to the Final Four in this past year's March Madness, I would be much lower on the additions. I would be. UTSA, tell me how sexy that is. Rice, awesome way to speak. North Texas and Charlotte, they're not sexy ads. Quality ads, good ads. You need teams, you need fans, maybe you get some new rivalries, some good competition. They're not sexy though. And somehow, I can't believe I'm saying this about the American Conference, they had some sexy losses. Cincinnati became a dreamboat. Houston, always solid, a disappointment in basketball, perennially. But also UCF, they've all done stuff for me lately. They've made me feel things for them, which I don't feel about some of the additions. So the American will root well for all conferences, but God, it looks a little lopsided, don't it, Joe?
I actually pushed back slightly on that notion. I think the fact that they went and got FAU with Tom Herman now leading this team, I think that that's a sneaky good ad. Sure. I also really do think that UTSA is the biggest pull for any of these conferences realigning. To go and get UTSA, which has been a rising program over the past 5 years, they've been consistently getting better every single year. The fact that they're coming in, and we're going to talk about them in a little bit, who I think that they will be one of the teams in the AAC championship at the end of the year. But for them to pull UTSA out of that mix, the rest of them are fine. The rest of those programs aren't really going to be very exciting. We know Charlotte's crap. We also know that North Texas is up and down. And then we also know that Rice is an engineering school. But UTSA, to me, I
didn't even know that about Rice. I couldn't even tell you that they were known as an engineering school.
Well, you're not exactly the most academically inclined.
Yeah, sure. You thought Notre Dame was top 5. They ended up being 22. Okay, so
I didn't say top 5.
Oh, yes,
I
you
didn't
did.
Say top 5. I didn't say top 5. I said that they were top 25, and I think that they were.
Oh, I don't.
I forget what it was.
I don't believe that's what
Maybe
it was.
Maybe you said it was top 20. I forget. Somebody pull the quote. Colin, please do that. Sean, I want to start us though with talking about Tulane here. They were 12-2 last year. They won the conference. They put out I almost said smack. There wasn't a smacking, but they upset USC in the Cotton Bowl, which was very unexpected for folks that didn't have a familiarity with Tulane. They are losing 2 important players, that being Tyjae Spears, who was one of my favorite players of the past
very fun
draft class. And they also lost Dorian Williams, who is an explosive tackling machine at linebacker. They are returning, though. And it was interesting doing my notes on this, doing a deep dive. A lot of really important players, particularly 2 guys on the defensive line in Darius Hodges and Patrick Jenkins. Also, one of their best defensive backs in Jarius Monroe. They also have a very good interior offensive line. They did lose, I think it was 1 guy that they lost through the portal, or maybe I'm mixing that up with SMU. Prince Pines is a strong interior offensive lineman.
Yeah.
But here's the most important thing, Sean, that I talk about so much for anyone who's listened to any of these G5 previews that we've done. Having a good quarterback is important. Now, when you have the best returning quarterback in the conference and one of the best quarterbacks returning in all of college football, you're going to win the conference again with all of that talent coming back. Michael Pratt is a very talented football player. And a lot of people, if you hear anyone talk about in scouting circles, will say that he is an underrated player to keep an eye out for the upcoming draft class. With all that being said, I would be stunned if Tulane doesn't finish with 9+ wins in 2023.
Okay. I agree. I think that they have some very solid players. I think Jarius Monroe at defensive back. I love a defensive back wearing 11. I don't know why. I think it's great. It makes him look daunting. And I think he's very talented. Darius Hodges on the defensive line. Not a super tall SEC frame guy, but very skilled, executes his assignments to a T. There was a great play where he was defending, not a triple option, but there was a tight end slipping up. There was a running back going out for a possible option and a quarterback dropping back to see if he's going to pitch or throw. He goes right in the middle of them, bats the ball down, technique perfect, exactly what he's supposed to do. Gets a read on all three of them, says, this is my assignment, goes and does it. He flies around really well. Also, I do like him. I think he's going to be very, very solid. Michael Pratt, I really like Michael Pratt. I'm not going to argue with you about Michael Pratt. I think he is the best G5 quarterback that we have discussed so far this year. And I don't want to hear anything about your boy from Western Kentucky and his stuff from Florida and all that.
They're both up there. Michael Pratt is better, though. Michael Pratt is better, but don't take the time to sit here and knock Austin Reed. Let's dial that back there, buddy.
I'm not dialing it. I'm not trying to dial it on to that. But it seems like, every conference does have a best quarterback. That's true. I can't remember your exact quote, but you were saying that Austin Reed might have been the best in the P5 or G5. G5. That's not true. Michael Pratt is. He is. He's better in every facet. Every single one. He's better. Very good quarterback.
I wouldn't sit here saying every single facet. It's not like one guy is vastly better than the other. They're both going to be draft prospects. But I concur that Michael Pratt is better.
I'm glad you concur.
For some reason,
I'm glad you
feel the need to crap on Michael or on Austin Reed. So stop doing that.
Well, I'm not trying to do that.
Okay.
I
think what's really important here, though, is that Willie Fritz is coming back this upcoming year after not losing anybody, not really losing that many guys. 2 guys went in the draft. That is the extent of what they lost. The fact that the team that they competed with in the American Conference Championship last year in UCF is gone, I don't really see anyone that's going to challenge them, except for one team, which we're going to talk about in a second, in UTSA. There is not a lot of good rosters that are as good as this Tulane one returning.
Yeah, Willie Fritz is he's the man. He showed it last year. Yeah, let's just flip the entire script and trajectory of this team from just being, the funny team with the green wave logo to, damn, look at them putting it on USC in was it the Cotton Bowl? I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that turnaround. Impressive, fun. Make it continuous. Show me the same next year. You don't have to win the Cotton Bowl next year, but you gotta keep it up. This is where it changes for Tulane. And I like Tulane. Who wouldn't like Tulane? They're fun.
Yeah, and again, big thing for me why I think that they're so fun is the fact that they've got a really good quarterback in Michael Pratt. Sean, SMU is like the next best team that's returning. Because as I mentioned, the standings last year were Tulane. I don't forget, this is no exact order off the top of my head, but it was like in some iteration of Tulane, UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, and then SMU. And then it was just the rest of the Rat Pack gang in the middle of all the mid-tier AAC teams that are always in the middle, which is like ECU, Temple, and all those slappy programs. I'm obviously, I say that in jest. I'm not saying that your programs are bad, but SMU, they're seemingly a program that recruits well. They're a program that attracts talent through the transfer portal very well because of the regionality of it.
And the payment.
Yes. Well, it's not like they've got, is that like Is that a 1980s football reference that you just made there?
No. They were like the first that I think that was actually introducing NIL stuff before the entire NIL passage. So they got some good recruits for a couple years. And they were early on in the game, I believe. And I know I'm going to get fact checked on this. I'm going to get dumped all on for it. But I believe SMU was pretty early with a collective and getting their players paid early on. So they were pretty not instrumental, but they were first to the gate with the NIL stuff. I'm pretty sure. You don't quote me. Somebody will check me on it.
I don't know the validity of that, but if somebody in the comments definitely does want to check Sean, that is always encouraged. Still, though, they're losing this past year two key important offensive players, which is concerning. Rashee Rice was one of the better receivers in the last class, and he was selected pretty highly. And then Tanner Mordecai, their quarterback, left to go to Wisconsin. And I'm a bit of a Tanner Mordecai fan. I'm excited to see what he does at Wisconsin this upcoming year because he's been a quality quarterback at the G5 level. But sadly, they don't have him back. I was trying to figure out who their next quarterback is, and it seems to be a little bit unsettled right now. And I'm sure that by the time this is published and people start watching it, there might be a little bit more of an answer. They did, however, get really active in the portal, which is why I think that SMU could make some serious strides forward, and then also realize that this is a good year for them to take advantage of the departures of all the other teams that left to go elsewhere. This is an opportunity for them to solidify themselves as the second or third best team in the conference with all these new faces coming in. They went and got 19 kids in the portal. 19 kids, which is very, very significant. That's a lot of freaking kids to pull in a portal class.
Yeah.
3 of the guys that were very highly rated that they got, and I actually think just from having all these, just pulling up all these transfer portal classes, from looking at all of these programs, theirs looks like the best out of any of the G5 programs that I've seen. I don't know what the ranking is, where they stand. I'm going to check that second. But the 3 guys that stand out the most are wide receiver Jordan Hudson, who was previously a very highly recruited kid coming out of high school, running back LJ Johnson, and then offensive tackle PJ Williams. Them bringing back those guys is important for success. I just need to know who is going to be playing quarterback for them.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be up and down. I had to clear up my own point earlier. Last August, it was reported that there was a Boulevard collective that would pay student athletes at SMU on the basketball and football teams $36,000 a year. So for a G5,
that makes sense.
For a G5 to have a collective already established that early before the season, pretty rare, because we were seeing Michigan get their collective set up like in season last year, which is late for a big time P5, and then like Mississippi State, Ole Miss, they're still fighting about their collective. Auburn. So when they already had that established, I think that made it more lucrative. At least it would have made it more lucrative for me if I was deciding where to go. Like, hey, all right, so you can do this and brand yourself and do all that, but additionally, this is what we can do for you. So they're ahead of the game on that, which is ironic after their death penalty scandal like 40 years ago. So, but
I thought that's what the reference you were making.
Yeah. No, I knew there was
like
a
an
more
Eric
recent
Dickerson reference, Pony Express reference.
Yeah. No, I knew there was an older scandal. I was not referring to that. But nowadays, when it's legal, they seem to be doing pretty good. I like this Jordan Hudson kid from TCU. I think he is talented. He's not wiry is the wrong word, kind of bendy. I like it. I think that he's got good foot discipline also when making the catches. I'd be surprised, especially in college when it's still the 1 foot rule, to see him ever not have his foot in bounds. I just see that with his feet. And then Justin Osborne, their offensive line, is solid, keeps his hands tight. And this is something I appreciate from all offensive linemen. You're not flopping all over the place. If you're flopping all over the place, it's tough. It's a tough look. There's like one dude in NFL history that can do that and still have. Donald Penn would flop all over the place, but he was awesome and he was great and he was just bigger and stronger and he was just a professional. But if you're a college player flopping all over the place, that's bad. So I think Osborne's good at not doing that.
That is analysis I never thought we'd get on the show.
Of course.
So I went and checked the transfer portal statement that I made, and I was absolutely correct by a long shot. So if you pull up 24/7 Sports' transfer portal rankings, they finished 11th in the country. 11th in the country. There aren't even any G5 teams that come anywhere close to them being next. Like all of the teams that are next close are the teams that moved out of the American into the Big 12. They finished ahead of UCLA. They finished ahead of Florida, Kentucky, TCU, Oklahoma State, and then ironically enough, finished ahead of Wisconsin, who took their quarterback, Tanner Mordecai. They also finished ahead of Michigan, which not totally surprising, in Nebraska as well. There are a lot of really good football teams. Ohio State is one of the transfer portal teams that they finished ahead of. And I know that everyone wants to sit here and go like, oh, blah, blah, it's just 24/7 Sports. How much do we actually trust those rankings? Even if they finish in the top 15, top 20, to do that as a G5 program is significant. That is very promising for what is to come for this upcoming year.
Yeah, no kidding.
I want to add in. Sorry, were you going to say?
No, I was just agreeing. Yeah, I agree.
They do have a little bit of a tough out of conference situation because they have to play Oklahoma. That's not great.
And also, it's Oklahoma. I'm not scared of Oklahoma. Somebody make me scared of Oklahoma because right now I'm not. Somebody make me scared of them.
I can't wait till we do the Big 12 preview.
Excited too.
Sean, last team I want to get to today, UTSA, who was 11-3 last year. They made the transition to the American this upcoming year. And I think out of anybody, they have produced the groundwork to set them up for immediate success, especially for the fact that Frank Harris, who is up there as one of the best G5 quarterbacks in that top 5 conversation, is returning despite speculation he might hop in the portal. They also bring back their star quality running back in Kavarian Barnes, and they also bring back Zachary Franklin, Joshua Cephas, 2 of their best receivers. One guy on defense that caught my attention just statistically, Trey Moore, who had 17 tackles for loss. That's frightening.
I like
to have a guy like that productive coming back. Overall, this team is just really freaking good. And again, I would not be surprised if they are, and I would put my money on them being the team that is competing in the American Conference Championship this upcoming year.
Yeah, UTSA, solid program, solid team. Franklin and Cephas are great on the outside. They seem to run crisp routes. Is a good amount of slants, but they're crisp and they make the catches. I think Frank Harris can throw them open a little bit, which is good. But golly, is Frank Harris small of stature.
Yeah.
He is small. I'm not sugarcoating it, and I'm also not hating because he's successful and he's great on the move. And he can drop the ball in a bucket, and I'm cool with all that. But his stature, tough. It's a little tough. And you know what? Maybe he gets lost in the pocket a little bit, can squeak out and get a first down with his legs. That's great. Give me a quarterback who can will his own way to getting a first down. Please and thank you. And not a stupid Matt Ryan in the pocket. Oh, it's 3rd and 8. I don't know what I'm doing with the ball. Why am I in the game? I don't want that. I want a guy who can get that done. And Frank Harris seems to be the guy that can do that. But his shortcomings are evident to me. But regardless, solid G5 quarterback. Solid. I think that's where I'm putting him at.
One thing I will say, the size thing I don't think matters as much for G5. It's not like he's playing in the SEC.
That's a good point.
Out of anybody. I don't know, dude. I just think that this roster, for what they're bringing back and how good they were last year, they can do some damage very early on. There's not a lot of established competition coming back.
It does. Yes, exactly. It doesn't hurt that 3 of the top 4 in the American will not be back. It does not hurt them. It helps them. They will be a top 4. They will be in the top 4 easily. And you said, I think early on, they'd be competing for the championship. That's not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched at all.
No. Well, Sean, I think it's going to wrap us up on here. We have another mailbag coming up, as we're going to be doing that every Thursday. We might have to reschedule 1 or 2 when I am in New Jersey, but we will figure that out.
Yep.
But mailbag coming up this week. Make sure you send in your questions at Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We'll be back with more, folks. Enjoy the rest of your week.